I'm tired of raising my own husband instead of being married to him. I 29F am starting to realize that I'm not married to a husband. I'm married to a dependent adult who treats me like his mother. I don't say that lightly. At first, I thought it was just normal marriage adjustments, two people blending routines, figuring out habits, learning each other's quirks. But somewhere along the way, I became responsible for every decision, every reminder, every chore, and every piece of emotional labor in this household. What makes it worse is the slow realization that he doesn't even feel guilty about it. In his mind, this is what a wife is supposed to do. He genuinely thinks this is normal. When we were dating, he acted incredibly capable. Clean apartment, decent cooking skills, remembered his own appointments, handled his own life. I didn't know until after we got engaged that he had been doing all of that only when I was around. The first month after we moved in together, his real habits emerged like they'd just been waiting for a safe place to fall apart. Plates were left on the counter for later, which somehow meant whenever I finally snap and wash them. His laundry piled up until I couldn't take it anymore. He would wear the same socks 3 days in a row and toss them behind the couch like a teenager hiding evidence. If he needed something washed, he'd ask, "Hey, can you throw this in with yours?" As if it was only natural that I ran the house. The reminders were the worst. I became his personal calendar, alarm clock, and brain. If I didn't remind him of something, paying a bill, locking the door, buying groceries, attending his dentist appointment, it wouldn't happen. He'd shrug and say, "I forgot," like that magically fixed the consequences. I'd ask him to help with one thing, like taking out the trash, and he'd answer, "Sure, in a minute." That minute sometimes lasted 2 days. When I'd remind him again, he'd accuse me of nagging. He would insist that reminding him twice is disrespectful because he already said he'd do it. Yet the trash never moved unless I physically picked up the bag myself. He weaponized incompetence expertly. If he folded the laundry wrong enough times, I'd sigh and do it myself. If he loaded the dishwasher so badly that plates came out dirty, I'd redo it. If he forgot to buy the correct groceries multiple times, he'd tell me I should just shop since I know what we need better. Tasks he used to handle alone became mysteries he suddenly couldn't solve. How to cook pasta? Too confusing now. How to wipe down a counter? Apparently requires a full tutorial. How to remember to pick up his prescription? Impossible unless I text him. Every time I brought it up, he'd say the same thing, "You're making a big deal out of nothing," or "That's what wives do," or "My mom always handled those things." That last part, honestly, explained everything. His mother babied him his whole life. She made his plates at dinner, packed his lunches into adulthood, cleaned his room even when he was 25. When I asked him why he let her do all that, he said it made her happy. When I told him I wasn't happy being shoved into that role, he looked genuinely confused, like the idea of a woman wanting equality was a foreign concept. The breaking point came last week. I had a huge work presentation to prepare for, my dream job on the line. I told him days in advance that I'd be busy and needed him to handle some things around the house. Nothing major, take out the trash, walk the dog, and prep something simple for dinner. That was it. He said yes, kissed my forehead, and said he was proud of me. When I came out of my office at 7 p.m., the trash was overflowing onto the floor, the dog hadn't been walked and had an accident by the door, and he was on the couch playing video games, headset on, laughing with friends. When he saw me, he muted his mic and said, "Oh, I figured you'd remind me if it was urgent." That was the moment something inside me snapped. I asked him if he realized how disrespectful it was. He shrugged and said, "You're overreacting. Why are you so emotional? Just tell me what you need and I'll do it." I told him I did tell him. He just didn't care enough to remember. He rolled his eyes and said, "You're being dramatic. Wives help their husbands. This isn't a big deal." That was the first time I realized I wasn't dealing with a forgetful partner. I was dealing with a man who believed, fully and confidently, that I existed to manage him. That I was overreacting for wanting a partner instead of a child. That my dreams, career, and energy mattered less than keeping his world functional. So now I'm sitting here questioning everything. Am I overreacting for being done with carrying the mental load of 2 adults? Am I dramatic for wanting a husband who contributes without being asked? Or is it finally reasonable to say that I refuse to raise a grown man who expects me to mother him until I die? Because right now, it feels less like a marriage and more like unpaid labor disguised as love. And I don't know how much longer I can do it.